Hello friends, welcome to VINEX IAS Academy. Today we look into the UPSC Prelims examination paper analysis. So on May 24th, UPSC Prelims has happened. So what is this? UPSC Prelims is the common exam for the civil service aspirants. So this service or this examination is mainly for the different services such as IAS, IPS, IFS, etc. Recently on May 24th, UPSC has conducted the civil services prelims examination. So let's go into the details of each paper analysis and have a breakdown of what has happened new in this particular paper and this year. Let's go. General Studies Paper 1. General Studies Paper 1, which includes all the major subjects such as Geography, History, Polity, Economy, Science and Technology, International Affairs, Current Affairs, Defense, etc. So when we take the 2026 paper into consideration, the following is the breakdown of the number of questions each subject has. So if we go by count wise, History has got the highest number of priority with 21 questions, of which if we break down into the other subtopics of history, modern has got around 4 to 5 questions, while the rest are from majorly ancient and medieval. This is an actual trend change, wherein in the previous years we could see more questions coming from modern history, wherein most of the concentration was given for the independence struggle and its period. The second major questions that we have seen this time is science and technology. India, with its developing goals both in ISRO, defense wise, and everything, science and technology has seen a major boost in the last few years, especially in the last decade also. So, with the amount of developing technology in science and tech, this year we have seen an increase in the number of questions from science and technology, which covers majorly areas such as defense, ISRO, space technology, and even artificial intelligence and computing. The next one in weightage is polity, with 14 questions. Polity always forms the backbone of UPSC prelims. So polity includes our governance, fundamental duties, rights, all our articles, and also the constitutional framework. So polity has seen its actual weightage and is in a constant count when compared to all the years. But here comes the major change. What is it? For the last 5 years or so, we have never seen one topic come in the UPSC prelims section. That is international relations. And not just it's a trendsetter, but this time 11 questions. That is a bigger mark. So 11 questions, that is almost 22 marks from international relations. India, which is now one of the leading countries in both economic side and also in the developing scenarios. Now with its international relations in major forums such as BRICS, COP, G7, G8, everything. These things are, this particular section has formed a criteria of almost game-changing scenario in this particular year. The next thing is economy. Economy with 13 questions. Economy usually sees questions from our budgetary policies, monetary policies, and planning commission. But this time there was a trend change, wherein fintech scenarios came into existence along with blockchain, ONDCs, and etc. So this is a major drift from the traditional economic scenarios towards the advancement in the digital scenarios. The next thing is our geography. Geography, being one of the static subjects in the UPSC prelims, has seen its same constant number of around 10 to 15 questions in every year prelim scenario. But geography also this time saw a change in the question paper scenario, wherein we used to have match the following type majorly for geography. This time it was a statement based scenario. But what gave the major change in this particular scenario is that leaves us with almost 12 questions to finish. So these 12 questions, 9 from environment and ecology, a basic standard which UPSC always prefers, especially with the sustainable development goals, ecology and environment issues, new species and habitat discoveries, etc. And the last 3, a very rare scenario of only just 3 current affairs. But are we sure of that? Don't get confused by this just number, because whatever we saw in economy and international relations majorly are from the current affairs background with reference to the 2025 to 2026 years. So why this year this paper has changed a lot, especially with majorly 3 questions standing out. So what are those 3 questions? This time, for the first time in the history of UPSC prelims, we saw 3 questions come from ethical scenario, wherein a huge paragraph was given and an inference or a common meaning was asked in those 3 questions, indicating a change in the UPSC pattern to inculcate ethical knowledge to the aspirants, not just in mains but right from the prelim stage itself. We all know that UPSC ethic, we all know that General Studies paper 4 in mains is the major part that involves ethics, integrity and aptitude. But for the first time in 2026, we saw ethics questions from, but for the first time in 2026, in prelims, we saw questions from ethics. But are they purely ethics? No. Ethics that involves decision making. Decision making, which is a major trait that every UPSC aspirant should hold, whether they get into a post or in their preparation, because that itself shows their mindset and perspective. So this is one of the major key mark changes that formed in the UPSC 2026 prelims. So let's go into the paper details. So when we get into the details of the prelims paper, we can see that most of the aspirants have felt that it is a really unconventional, lengthy, or a difficult paper. Generally, when we analyze such kinds of papers, this is a change in the trend. As we can see, a lot of questions from the regular pattern. These are some of the questions that we regularly see in the UPSC prelims almost every year. But what has changed this year? The major change being the statement based questions and also the induction of, like we discussed before, 3 ethical based questions which include decision making kind of scenarios. So these kind of questions have given a bit of change into the conventional UPSC model. Along with that, as we can see, we do not see much of a normal scenarios. Such longer statements that include program scenarios is also the first time wherein in-depth analysis has been questioned in every question. So such scenarios have almost made the aspirants feel the question paper as lengthy. But is it really the case? No. When we know the basic concept of every subject, the questions become easy. Yes, the questions may be lengthy and also the detailing may be a bit unconventional. But when you know the basic concept and link it to the heart of the subject, every question will break down and we can answer them in a flash of a second. So all it requires is to understand the basic concept in every subject. Along with that, when we take the scenario of those ethical questions, here we can see Mr. X, a senior officer, was overseeing a critical vaccination program during pandemic. He found that a private service provider responsible for vaccine distribution was compromising on quality to make profits. Despite immense pressure to manage the issue due to vested interests, he raised his voice based on principles of public administration, which he learned during various training programs attended across his career. He reported the issue to the appropriate vigilant authority and halted the contact to ensure citizen welfare. Which one of the following principles of public administration was most strongly demonstrated by Mr. X's actions? So everyone thinks that, yes, this is something that is related to governance, quality and everything. No, this is related to public administration and also the ethical behavior of an individual. So such questions have risen for the first time or have been asked for the first time in UPSC. This indicates a change in the pattern of UPSC. Along with that, we can see another question like this. Again, 68. Mr. X, a mid-level civil service official working in the urban development department of a major city. Recently, she was involved in approving a contract for a public infrastructure project and new community park. During the approval process, she received a piece of confidential information indicating that one of the shortlisted contractors had a history of poor workmanship and allegations of corruption. So such questions almost test the integrity and aptitude of a person. So ethics from now we may consider is not just part of the mains but also a part of prelims, which involves majorly your decision making and your understanding capabilities. Such questions have created a kind of difficulty in the aspirant's mindset, thinking that, oh no, these are some questions that we haven't seen, or these are out of the syllabus. What do we do now? Because UPSC is an exam that sticks to its boundaries for the syllabus. Yes, these are within the boundaries of the syllabus, but they just involve a bit of more thinking capability and decision making capabilities. Along with that, we have seen a change in the science and technology concept, wherein most of the questions we used to have from are either from space or from defense. But this time, we saw some of them from LLMs, marketing technologies, etc. Not to forget the change in the economic pattern, wherein when we consider the economic questions, we have seen 2 different questions in the same set. Question number 41, wherein a question about blockchain technology has been asked, and in the same 44, we see that Open Network Digital Commerce Initiative has been asked, both of which are part of Digital India Framework. Along with that, we can see that e-commerce values and also financial inclusion index. So everything from the conventional way, UPSC has brought in a new side to the economic scenarios. these are the few changes that we could clearly see in the prelim section of GS paper 1. So majorly all the aspirants are now confused of what the cutoff will be. When we see the cutoff for the past year, that is 2025, the cutoff for prelims generally for the OC candidates was 92.17. So how about this year? With all the speculations about the question paper being lengthy, tough, moderate to difficult, everyone is of the opinion saying that the cutoff may vary too. Yes, the cutoff will vary, but how? We have to wait and see for that. Also, will it decrease or will it increase? It depends on the evaluation of the key. So let's wait for the evaluation and see how the cutoff will be. So now let's jump into the paper 2, that is the CSAT section. What new things have come up in the CSAT section? So when we jump into the paper 2 of civil service prelims, it is majorly considering the reasoning part, reading comprehension, and the arithmetic or aptitude part. So when we talk about all these three concepts, the major thing or the hurdle that most of the aspirants face is the reading comprehension. Because it is a lengthy passage, it takes time. With the limited amount of time for just 2 hours, aspirants feel that such lengthy comprehension passages might impact the amount of questions they might answer. So even when we see the reading comprehension passages, for an entire passage you might see just 1 or 2 questions, or at max 3 to 4. But what are the reading comprehensions majorly consisting of? Initially, when we consider the past decade or so, they used to consider of basic author statements or some passage written by an author or something that is relevant to the editorial section of the paper that includes some minor government schemes or programs. But this time, it is a drastic change. What is it? Here we can see the Juvenile Justice Act of 2025 that includes actually polity, which every aspirant must have read during the preparation for general studies. So whenever we see such a comprehension passage, the inference or reference, whatever the question is, becomes easier. So why the hurdle or why the change now? It's simple. UPSC is trying to indicate that CSAT and GS prelims are both interlinked, but not two separate entities. Yes, the topics may be different, but with the single concept of reading comprehension, the majority of the concepts in GS Prelims 1 can be included in the reading comprehension side of the CSAT scenario. So this itself provides a major changeover from the age-old order passages to the subjective comprehension reading passages. So is it just polity? No. You can think of geographical scenarios, economic scenarios, historical backgrounds, everything. Even current affair topics can also be asked in this particular reading comprehension passages. Yes, the CSAT paper 2 was considered a bit lengthy too. Yes, we have seen a lengthy paper section this time in the UPSC Prelims format, with majority of questions being from comprehension passage and reasoning scenario, with aptitude taking the third position. So how can we overcome such scenarios, or how do we handle this? The major thing in CSAT is, the first and priority is time management and accuracy. In the given lot of time of 2 hours, you need to answer 80 questions. So 80 questions with 200 marks. But does this grant you any qualification scenario? Of course, yes. It is a qualifying paper. Without qualifying in CSAT, there is no use even if you score 150 in the general studies paper 1. But coming to this year's paper, it was relatively moderate in everyone's scenario. The reading comprehension passages were a bit difficult, but if we have clearly studied the general studies part, these reading comprehension passages become a bit easy. So aspirants, all you need to do now is know how the UPSC trend is changing from the age-old policy of sticking to conventional ways to introducing or moving forward with the advanced methods or advanced technologies and advanced subjects and questionnaire patterns. All we need to know is how this impacts the selection procedure or the cutoffs. For such informative video, do follow us. Thank you.